So today is the 11th of November, or November 11th, and it is about remembering our veterans. This video is going to be a little different because I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to talk honestly and openly about what it means to me, and hopefully, hopefully invoke some pride in other people, and hopefully be able to touch on some things that other people might not realize or might take for granted, especially if they don't have a personal tie to a veteran or a service person. So, Remembrance Day is what is called here in the United Kingdom. It's called Veterans Day in America. For those of you who don't know, they are the same day. They both started as Armistice Day, which was when the end of World War II on November 11th in 1918. That's from memory, so I might need a fact check on that. It was originally, to honor those who served in World War I, but it's since been expanded into remembering all service people that have died in the line of duty. In America, and in my family in particular, it was a time to remember all of those who served, whether they had died in combat or were lucky enough to come home, but had died since, or were still living. Anyone that served their country, basically. For me, this is a holiday that hits extremely close to home. As you can tell, I'm not a proud Vietnam veteran. My father was. This was actually his hat. He had about 4 or 5 different hats, maybe even more, that he used to wear almost every day. When he died, they kind of got divvied up through the family. This is one of the ones he wore all the time. As you can see, I have a pin that says that my father is a Vietnam veteran. And it's my Royal British Legion pin because I now live here in England. And my honoring of veterans is not changed for either country. As you may know, England and America are allies and often fought side by side. So for me, Veterans Day or Remembrance Day hits close to home. My father fought in Vietnam. My grandfather fought in World War II. And I actually have family members that served in the American Armed Forces since. They didn't see combat, but they still served. And they still were sent overseas in various scenarios. Personally, I think it is an extremely, a very important point of character when someone has put their life on the line to serve. There are many wars and there are many points of politics and conflicts and lots of emotions that are tied to all those conflicts and those wars that I don't necessarily agree with, or I don't personally, would support, but I always honor our veterans. I always honor any of the men and women that served in any capacity, because that is a very, very big point of pride for me. And it stems from my father, from being a Vietnam veteran. And when he got home from the war, he was treated very badly. And that stayed with him for a long time. But his pride in serving his country and all of the things that he thought he was fighting for and all of the things that he believed in stayed with him. And it was very important to him that he was a veteran. He marched in parades. He did memorial services. He served as color guard and vice commander for his local VFW, which is Veterans of Foreign Wars in America. He always honored his comrades. He always fought for veterans' rights. He always did everything that he could to honor anyone that served and honor anyone that was active or inactive as long as they wore a uniform. So, my father died a couple years ago, and I haven't been to any of these services since, any parades or anything like that. Because they were so important to him, we had been to them our whole lives, and we were even part of them. We would march in some of the parades. I even participated in some of the memorial ceremonies with him. It was always very important for the family to be involved. And when he died, it was really, really difficult for me to be a part of any of that. Not because I didn't want to honor him or any of his comrades, but that it was just hard for me to be in those excuse me. It was hard for me to be in those scenarios and situations without him being there with us. Today, we went to the memorial service that was in town. There's a memorial in the middle of town that I used to walk across every day. Well, obviously I didn't walk across the memorial. I walked past it in the park every day to and from work. Whenever we're in town, I kind of, glance at it and look at it whenever it's in my eye line. And I always think of my dad. Uh, sorry. So today we decided to go to the service that was in town. And it was pretty similar to the services that I had been to in America, except you play a different song. I can't remember the name of it, but to end the day, you play a different song. We play a song called Taps. So it's a little weird not hearing that. And it was also a little weird hearing chants of Hip Hip Hooray and God Save the King rather than a 21 gun salute, which we would normally have in America. And being that my father was captain of the color guard for almost a decade, I think, he was in charge of the 21 gun salute in most of these cases and most of these ceremonies. So it was especially weird not hearing him call out and then hearing the guns go off. And I got very emotional, just like I got now. But I was able to also keep it. I was able to keep it together enough to stay through the entire ceremony and watch the soldiers march down Main Street. It's not Main Street. You guys don't have Main Street. March across town from the memorial to High Street, and down to the next, portion of whatever the ceremony was. That's kind of where I ended it for my day because it was just becoming a little too overwhelming for me, and I needed to step aside. But it was still really beautiful. It was really good to see a big turnout of people as well because I wasn't sure how it would be here. It was actually a bigger turnout than a lot of the ceremonies that I've been to in America. The actual ceremonies in America are not a big attraction of crowds, no matter where they are. So it was nice to see that, and it was nice to know that there was respect and acknowledgement to those who served in the British Army, excuse me, the British Armed Forces, and that it was at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. It is not always in America. No matter where I am and no matter what I do, I'm always going to I'm always going to have that point of pride. I know I could never have served in those capacities. Um, the least volunteer for it. If I had to fight, I probably could have figured out how to do it and how to get through it. But I am very, very thankful that I didn't have to. And I'm very grateful and thankful that there are people out there that have the fortitude and the courage to fight on our behalf. So I just want to say thank you to all of the veterans of the American Armed Forces, no matter what your status is right now or where you are. You are not forgotten, and you are seen, and you matter. To all of the veterans from the British Armed Forces, thank you, not just for being allies to America, but for being the protector of this amazing country and the rest of the Commonwealth and the kingdom, so that it is a wonderful place for me to live and come and raise my child. And a special thanks to my dad for showing me what true courage is. We didn't always agree. We more often not didn't agree. We butt heads a lot, and we probably fought, I'd say, at least half of my life. But you were always there. And your courage and your strength and your pride will be with me forever. Thank you to all the veterans and their families for all your sacrifices. Lest we forget, you'll never be forgotten. Thank you for listening.